yourself that's so bold and so daring that you live your life without limits or restrictions. So join me on my show, Unleash Your Audacious Confidence, so we can discover the unknown you. Call in to join the conversation at 888-565-1470. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to the show. This is Unleash Your Audacious Confidence with Alicia Khoury, and I am here today. I'm so excited because today we're talking about confidence and beauty, and I have a very special guest with me today. But before I introduce her, I just wanted to give you this quote from, it's a book that I read, and it's from The Science of Getting Rich, I believe. And it says that beauty represents the most supreme living quality of thought, that it's the glorious overflowing of the fullness of love, which indicates infinite reserves of power behind it. So to me, beauty equals power. So in order to be audaciously confident, you need to have your own concept of beauty and be able to really radiate and exude that beauty. So today on the show, I am so excited to have with me Davika Williams. She is one half of the Power Twins. Yes, welcome, Davika. Thank you. I'm just going to give you a small little snippet of who she is and what she does. She is a Christian therapist. She also received her master's in divinity with an emphasis in psychology and religion and pastoral care and counseling, with a further emphasis on women's, say that again.
Womanist ethics.
Womanist ethics. You have to explain what that is.
Okay.
And so she's a full-figured professional model, a spokesperson, and part of the Wonder Twins brand. You have an identical twin sister, Demetria, which we'll talk about a little bit. And so I am just really excited to have her because, you know, beauty comes in all different shapes, all sizes, all colors. And I have my story, and she also has her story. And so hopefully in sharing our experiences with you, you can begin to develop your own idea and your own concept of beauty and not look to the media or anywhere else to get that for yourself, but really be able to exude that confidence. So let's get started. And I first want to ask you, what does beauty mean to you, Davika?
Wow, after hearing that dynamic quote, it kind of shifts my thought in regards to beauty, because for me, beauty is the inner being and how it radiates, how it illuminates in you. So for me, beauty isn't just a physical manifestation of how your eyes and your lines come together, but it's really the core of who you are. And I think that's why beauty is so multidimensional. And it's, to me, beauty is universal because of that, because it comes from the core of who you are and it radiates outward.
Yes. So it has to come from in out. I know so many people look at the aesthetic, they look at the outside and they say, oh, you're beautiful. But then I've worked as a makeup artist on so many people that have so much insecurity, and I understand that because I came from that place. But they have so much insecurity in their own beauty, even though they look aesthetically beautiful, they don't have it radiating from the outside. And really, that's where true beauty comes from, when it's able to radiate from the inside out. So what is your personal concept of beauty?
My personal,
for yourself.
For me, I think I shared with you before, I always thought my beauty came from my personality. Again, it's the inner part of who I am, how I connect with people. So for me, beauty isn't a physical thing for me. My definition of beauty is how I feel about myself. And how that conveys to the world when I interact with people. For me, when I walk into a room, literally people meet my spirit before they meet Davika the woman. And so my aura, my energy is what makes my mark in the world. And so for me, the next thing is my smile.
Right.
And so for me, it's like, oh, those are the things that I feel for me. It's my spirit, and my smile is what pretty much makes my beauty, what makes me distinct from someone else in the room.
Well, you know, I remember meeting you for the first time. We actually spoke at an event a little over a year ago together. And I noticed you from across the street. I was like, am I going to be on the same platform as this lady? Like, oh, wow. Because not only are you, aesthetically beautiful, but your presence is very, like you said, your presence goes before you. Definitely. So, again, because your presence goes before you, and we're talking about audacious confidence, where do you think your audacious confidence came from? Because we were having a little conversation about you and the difference between you and your twin sister. And so where does your audacious confidence come from?
My audacious confidence comes from being told no, being told that I wasn't pretty enough, that I wasn't skinny enough. And so for me, I was always that rebel. When somebody tell me no, I'm going to show you, I'm going to prove to you that I can do something. And so the more that I received resistance from people, the more I kept going at it. So that's why I became audacious. Like, no, you're not going to deny me access.
Right.
Like, you are not going to deny me, and I'm going to show you why you're not going to deny me. And that's for me has been that driving force. When people tell me no, I'm going to show you.
All right.
I'm going to show you.
And so let's contrast that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Okay.
And talking about your twin. Because
Okay.
she's not here. but, you guys are identical twins and growing up. And you have that bold, audacious confidence in you. But she had she was a little less bold in her confidence. And how did that play against each other?
OMG, that's the $1 million question. My sister used to always say things like, I'm in your light, I'm behind you. And at first she would say she liked being in the background, but then it'd be certain moments and different platforms I would hear her say that how, she didn't like being in my light. She felt like I dimmed her light. And I'm like, how did I dim your light? I wanted you to be there with me. Let's shine together. And so for me, it was the messages that we heard, how people used to always try to compare us because we are so much alike, but we are so different. Even in our personality development, even how we can literally have the same, our grades would be identical, but how we get to that answer is totally different. And so even how we viewed some of the challenges that we had to overcome, we had several traumatic experiences growing up from childhood into early adolescence. And so how I did the framework to work through that emotively, Demetria, she internalized it. Right. And she became more reclusive, and she didn't find the positive things out of that and our resilience to overcome those things. She didn't see the glass half full, she saw it half empty. Right. And so in doing the work that we've done, even exploring the conversations about body image and beauty, right, she has a chance to reauthor that. And so to see her emerge, to see her own her little audacious and boldness in her feisty personality, she's comfortable with her quirkiness, and she's comfortable with being witty. Yeah, she's funny. She's so funny. She's witty. Hilarious. She doesn't have as much tact as I do. She said I'm a little bit more refined than her. But you know what? It's okay. Because there was a point in time Demetria wouldn't speak from her heart. And so I'm like, well, you know what? That's where you are. And eventually you would get a little bit more tact when different contexts. But she is the funny one. I've always took myself too seriously. And she taught me how to kind of lighten up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So as twins, at least, well, you said, you have a common experience. But both of you had very different experiences, even though you're identical twins and you have a common experience. And that's a really interesting dynamic. Mm-hmm. So the two of you did get into modeling.
Mm-hmm. I pulled her into modeling.
You pulled her into modeling.
I pulled her into modeling.
So we're going to talk a little bit about body image issues, because that is one of your platforms, having a positive body image. And so how did you come about gaining a positive body image when everything out there, is against you, number one, and number two, you're pretty much blazing a trail for yourself, right? Because nothing out there at the time that you were modeling looked like you. So what gave you the courage to step out and really say, we're going to be models?
Well, the funny thing was I was discovered my freshman year in college, and it was actually midterm week, and I was with one of my Kappa brothers, and I saw this couple, I thought were a couple, and I saw all these comp cards spread out over this table. We were at a restaurant, and I was like, that day I came out with no makeup on. I'm like in study mode, like, oh my goodness. I see them, and I go to him. We're on the other side of the restaurant. I said, man, I should have came here beat done, because I know if they would have seen me, they would want me to be their model. So in the midst of us studying, the designer came up. She was out of Philly, a Christian designer, and she said, excuse me, do you mind if I sit next to you? I want to ask you a question. And I'm like frozen like the deer with the lights going on. And I was like, sure, you can have a seat. And she goes, have you ever considered modeling? I was like, are you serious? She says, well, look, I'm looking for a signature plus size model, and I think you are my girl. And I was like, yes, I'll be honored. Like, when can I sign up? Let me look at the contract. Like, I was already ready to go. I was
sign
ready
the
to
contract.
go. And so for me, that was a defining moment, because in my mind, it was like I said, I didn't think I was beautiful until college. And so for me, growing into a young woman and people seeing me outside of my leadership roles, but actually saying, oh my gosh, you're beautiful. Can you give me beauty tips? How did you put this outfit together? I worked at Lane Bryant for years. So I was like the style expert, all the mannequins. Like, I dressed all the mannequins. So everyone came in the store like, I want that outfit like that. So my store manager was like, listen, you're going to do all the mannequins. You're going to do all the displays. So I had an eye for fashion. And so for me, what used to bother me is going to the store outside of Lane Bryant and they didn't have what I want. Like, my fashion concept of beauty was not in plus size clothing. It was not my style aesthetic at all. I'm like, listen, I got curves, but I want to look good. I want to be fashion trendy. Right. I want to be with the trends too. And I even, put stuff together and created my own look. And I was trending on college campus. And it took that moment, that defining moment, when girls were coming up to me, petite women, plus size women, professors were asking me for styling tips, tell me about makeup, and I'm giving them, for styling them from their hairstyles to haircuts, makeup, giving them, like, vamping their wardrobe. Right. And so it was that moment that let me know, hey, I'm onto something. And so what I've learned in being present with other women, including myself, I didn't see somebody that looked like me on TV.
Right.
And that's why I didn't go for, I wanted to be in communications, because I saw myself wanting to be in front, not behind the camera, but in front of the camera. But I didn't see a curvy girl at that time. And so in my time of modeling, I've worked with some of the biggest brands for plus size fashion. And I was the only staple model for the designer I was working for. And I remember we did the show for Tyra Banks and Kimora Lee, and they sabotaged my clothes. They cut up my clothes, because when I walk on the runway, I slay to the gods. And so the girls were intimidated by my signature walk. And so I only wore one piece in that fashion show, and I owned it. And that piece, she had like over 10 people that wanted to order that look. Right. And so I was off, like, that look sold off the runway. And so they tried to sabotage me, but I still wound up selling that entire look.
But that's not the only time you've been sabotaged. You've been sabotaged.
Even in college for queens, for pageantry, where people like, they didn't want a fat girl or a plus size girl to represent them. I had the grades, I had the look. I was already an ambassador for the college, traveling over the country, speaking in regards to get, monies, donated for the university, being that I went to a historically black college and university. And so even the whole dealing with the colorism and even dealing with body image for being a plus size, they considered they didn't want a chunky girl to be their queen. It broke my heart, but it didn't stop me. I still kept going for them, and I killed them in the pageants by landslides. It was like, yeah, you may take the title from me, but I'm going to make sure that I'm in there so other girls on the campus who support me can see that there is someone who's bold enough to say that I'm going to still be in the number.
That's right. So it's all about audaciousness. It's all about owning who you are and stepping into that, and not allowing other people to dim your light, not allowing other people to take that away from you. Because if you do, then who wins?
They win, and they will not win on my account.
They can't win. Not on my account. So we're going to take a quick commercial break pretty soon, but before I do, I did want to ask you really quickly, because you are an ambassador. You speak to young women, you mentor young women about body image and about their body type. So when we come back, we are going to dive into that a little bit more. Okay. And so we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. See you in 2 minutes. Hi, I'm Alicia Curry, and you know me from my radio show, Unleash Your Audacious Confidence with Alicia Curry. If you lack confidence and boldness to really go out there and conquer the world, I'm here to share this valuable resource. In my book, Your Signature Style, Unlocking the Confidence, Style, and Influence of the Savvy CEO, I'll take you through a process where you can release your fears and embrace your femininity as a powerful tool to unleash your audacious confidence and win. This is where it all began for me, and I want to share it with you. Get your copy today at acradio.live. Bring out your beauty and confidence from the inside out. Buy this book today at www.acradio.live.
Have you ever dreamed of owning your own online business? Start your business now. It's fast, easy, and free. Just sign up at mylife.net. You'll get a free personal business coach who will support you every step of the way. We'll help you sell products and services from our amazing product line in 4 life-based categories that can make you money. Your free business also comes with all the tools you'll need to be successful. Take control of your life with My Life. Sign up now for free at mylife.net.
You're listening to Unleash Your Audacious Confidence with Alicia Khoury. Now, let's get back to the show. Hi, welcome back. So yes, I did want to just show you my book really quickly. It is Your Signature Style, Unlocking the Confidence, Style, and Influence of the Savvy CEO. And you can get it now at acradio.live. And I am here with Davika Williams, the one half of the Power Twins. And so we left for commercial break and we were talking about how do you mentor young women? Because that's one of your roles in mentoring young women, because you always want to show people how to have a positive body image. So how do you go about doing that? If someone has a poor body image, how do you help them?
Well, what we do through the vehicle of the Wonder Twins is called the Sister Circle, and it's pretty much a process group where we support group where it's intergenerational, and we go through those different experiences, go through those conversations of, number one, how they formed their concept of beauty and how they feel about themselves. So we do the intro work. We put them give them a safe space to work through that, and then each person comes up with an individual plan of how we can get them to a place that we can basically reauthor that traumatic experience, because a lot of times when dealing with women is because of something happened traumatic, whether it was from their family, the kind of messages about beauty and body. So a lot of times it happens.
It starts with the family. It starts from a young child. If you're a nice chunky child, you're labeled the fat kid, and so you. And we talked a little bit about that, emotionally eat, because now, you're trying to fill that void because you're not the pretty one. Because I grew up, I was not considered the pretty one. Wow. I was not considered the smart one. Wow. I was the troublemaker. So, I didn't have a concept of beauty. I thought my sister was beautiful, my older sister, and she was the smart one. She was the beautiful one. And so from childhood, you start forming these things, and then the media what's out there just reinforces those negative concepts that you started getting from your family. So that is really amazing that you guys are able to start unraveling that and help them rebuild, because you have to go back to the genesis, to the core of the issue, and then once you're able to release that, rebuild it from there. So there is something right now that Demetria is battling. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. Okay. Because that also affects her body image.
Yes, it does.
Because of all the medication she has to take. So why don't we talk about systemic scleroderma?
Yes.
Is that right? Right.
Yep.
So what is it and how does it affect the body?
Well, Demetria has 5 different kinds of autoimmune diseases, and systemic scleroderma is an autoimmune disease. It is rare, it's chronic, and it's debilitating, and across different tissue systems, the connective, cardiovascular, and muscular. And so for her, she's on oxygen 24 hours a day now because she has developed interstitial lung disease and pulmonary fibrosis because systemic scleroderma is attacking her lungs. So what is systemic scleroderma? Scleroderma is the hardening of the skin, is an overproduction of collagen. So essentially what the disease is doing is literally causing her skin over her lungs. So it's like it's suffocating. It's hardening it. So with that, the forms of treatment is only 3 types of treatment. There is no cure for it, and high doses of steroids is one of the course of treatments, in addition to chemotherapy. And then there's another therapy. It's a nuclear treatment. So she's just finished chemo 2 months ago. Now they have her back on steroids and nuclear treatment. And so with that, she has gained over 140 pounds.
Wow.
In a little over a year, and say the past year, the past 120 days, is about 80 of those pounds came from that.
Wow.
Because of how aggressive systemic scleroderma attacks the body. And so here you have Demetria. She lost all this weight. I have her on different print modeling campaigns. To now she doesn't really want to be in front of the camera, but what she does do now is that she shares her story, and she shares her process of having to look at herself differently because of the treatment, and understand that, hey, this wasn't solely on you not eating healthy, not putting the right things in your body, but the treatment that it takes for this disease to overcome your body has caused you to gain this weight. And we've even, found different ways to help her, to even help change, to kind of like rewind the weight gain, and different healthier options for even more live foods and more organic way of eating. So even the lifestyle change has been significant because of the autoimmune disease, and that's even empowered us in how we eat and how we think about food.
Right.
And it has really even changed our conversations about working out and living fit. And so because of that, I've lost about 60 pounds. And so I'm all on this. Thank you. I am all on this Curvy Girl Fit. And my thing to plus size women and curvy women is like, hey, embrace your curves and love your curls, but let's be healthy. Let's put the right foods in our bodies.
Right.
Let it not be for a superficial thing, but for a health thing.
Right.
Being that boss
and the
moms.
Emotional
the emotional eating.
And
that's not a good thing. And let's work on our emotions and not use food and other things to comfort us.
Yeah.
That's how we get addictions.
But Demetria has a fighting spirit.
Yes.
She has, like you said, she's got a sense of humor. She's got that fighting spirit. So nothing can keep that good girl down.
Yeah, she has her days, and I'm like, wait a minute, I need that fight, Yes. Or when she's fighting me, I'm like, hey, I need you to fight this, and don't fight me. So we have those moments of support, and we anchor each other.
And how can we, listeners, viewers, how can we get involved in, because you went to Capitol Hill? Yes,
we went to Capitol Hill to rally for monies to be a support for funding for research in scleroderma, because scleroderma is one of those rare diseases that's on their list, but there's only $1 million, and they need more money because cancer is the big disease that they put
a lot of fun,
all the money in there. And there's other diseases that are wiping out Americans. Here in America, it's about 300,000 Americans are diagnosed with scleroderma, and worldwide 2.5 million worldwide sufferers with scleroderma. And it's something that is catching up, and women, particularly women, are adversely affected with autoimmune diseases from their teens to about early 50s, and it's over 200 different forms of autoimmune diseases. And if you want to kind of get an idea about scleroderma, they call it the cousin to lupus, and how it affects the body. And so our message is letting women know, hey, if you see things in your body changes, if you see yourself all of a sudden you're fatigued, if you see you're not feeling good, go to the doctor. And we're telling people, go get checked out, because what
kind of blood test can you take?
It's the rheumatoid levels. So you have to go to like your primary care physician can check your rheumatoid levels, or you specifically go to a rheumatologist, a physician to do that for you. But your first thing would be check your primary care physician and have them to check your rheumatoid levels.
Thank you. All right. So ladies, listen up. And so, we talked a little bit about this too, but what is the one piece of advice? Yeah. What is the one piece of advice that you would have for a mom or a young woman who is kind of battling that body image? If a mom has a young girl who has body image issues, or a young woman has body image issues, what piece of advice, having gone through that yourself, do you have for young women or moms?
What I have had to do, in particularly in Afro-Caribbean communities that a lot of my work is done, really encourage the mothers, number one, to listen, to their daughters and allow them to have a safe space to be authentic with their daughters, because a lot of times mom too went through that, and it's pretty much the core of them breaking that cycle and connecting with their daughter on a deeper level and allow them to be real with each other. And a lot of times in those Afro-Caribbean communities, mommy's not having those kind of conversations with their daughters. So that is work in itself. And in that, a lot of times you see them connect on another level, where I've had clients where they were at odds with their mothers because they started having those conversations, and the mother said, you know what, as the baby boomer generation of dealing with millennials or Generation Xers, they find the commonality and the mutuality into each other, and it has been a beautiful thing. And it's the whole thing of allowing them to be authentic with each other and be vulnerable.
No judgment.
And no judgment.
No
that
judgment.
vulnerability piece.
That's awesome. So, and as young women who may be battling that alone, thinking that they're alone, how would you give them any advice?
I'm big on connecting with other women and showing up with other women. There's beauty in telling our stories, and that's why I was always empower people to tell your own story, because you never know who needs that advice, who needs that push, who needs that safe space. Say, hey, you're not alone. Because even looking at you, I was like, what? You had issues? What? You had that? Like, I would never known that because of your audacious confidence. And so women need to know that even beautiful, well put together women even had to do that inner work, even had to do the work, and it gives them power. Like, you went through it, I know I can do it too, because you are the bomb.com and I want to be the bomb.com too. So
absolutely. It's I said on the last show that some women are born with it, with that audaciousness, like you, obviously.
Thank you.
But your twin sister wasn't, and had to work on it. So there's no shame in having to work on your confidence. There's no shame in having to actually use tools and techniques to help you develop that. And so that's what I want to encourage you to do. And those of you listening, I want to encourage you not to give up, that you can reach this place. You just have to be willing to do the work to get there. So thank you so much, Davika, for joining me today. And I hope to see you guys next week on another show, Unleash Your Audacious Confidence with Alicia Curry. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Thank you for listening. I didn't get to have you call in, but next time. Okay. Thanks a lot. Have a great evening and the rest of the week. Bye. A wise friend always says to me, we have a finite number of minutes to spend. And just like you can only spend $1 once, you can only spend 1 minute once. It's your choice. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for choosing to spend some of your minutes with me on my show. I wish you love, health, and happiness to live your life with audacious confidence. I love you, and we'll see you next time.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff,